here's what we're gonna do over the next month. I'm gonna interview one of our top agents here in our office just about their business, about their perspective on business, and how they're adjusting their practices based upon how the market's changing. So today, Jason was so gracious to agree to be that person. So first and foremost, tell me a little bit about your life before you got into real estate.
My life before real estate.
You know, what led up to you getting into real estate?
You hated law.
Law, finance, real estate. And that's my trajectory in this business.
Yeah.
And I started out as a lawyer, and not really what Wayne said. I liked it, but not enough to stay in it.
Yeah.
And I kind of transitioned to finance, which I thought I would also love, and I didn't. I did, but I didn't. And I had always had an interest in real estate early on. Didn't know I would end up as a real estate agent, but the interest was always there, even during law, when I was growing up in high school and everything else. So when I was in the finance industry, kind of by default, I was kind of forced to make a decision. And my decision was that I was going to go full time into the real estate business, and I did that in 2002.
Do that in 2002.
Yeah.
Now, you and I talked a little bit last week, and if I'm putting you on the spot and you don't want to share it, it's okay. Just tell me you don't want to share it.
I don't want to share it. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Your mom actually convinced you to get your real estate license when?
My mom actually convinced me to get my real estate license before I took the bar, because she wasn't sure I was going to pass it.
Okay. All right.
That was 95. That's a lifetime ago.
A lifetime ago.
Yeah.
All right. So you transitioned into real estate in 2002. How did it go your first year?
It went pretty good because I was extremely aggressive.
Okay.
Because I had already come from other industries where I was used to making a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
So I felt like a lot of pressure to create the same income stream.
Yeah. So you didn't want to go backwards. You
Yeah.
wanted to at least maintain.
Yeah, so I pushed
Okay.
hard. Kind of leaning on my strengths as a lawyer and finance person, not really so much as a real estate person. Kind of leaning towards those strengths and how I got listings and things like that.
So what are some of the similarities that you actually see when you look at law, finance, and now real estate together? How do all of those things play off of one another for you?
I mean, they're all interrelated. I mean, if you do something wrong in real estate, you get sued. The entire transaction's financial.
Yeah.
There's going to be either a windfall of money or you're going to be writing a check. Either way, it's financial, whether it's a short sale or if you have a big equity position. So they all lend itself. They all tie in together. And it was easier for me to transition than maybe some, because I already had a pretty good network.
Yeah.
So I could call on the lawyers and the finance people and all these people to help me kind of aggregate business.
All right. So you accomplished your first year in real estate. You did fairly well that year. And then that was 2002, 2003,
2003,
right?
yep.
2003. And then we all saw what happened leading up to 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
And then that shift that happened.
Yeah.
What was that like for you in your business during that time? And how did the economic shift and the housing crisis impact you and your business?
You mean like the 09, 10 stuff?
Yeah, 09, 10.
Well, going into it, it was the 04, 05, 06, 7, that's kind of like what happened during COVID just
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It was very similar. It was like you couldn't do anything wrong. And it didn't matter what level of agent you were.
So it was the speed-based market,
Yeah,
not
it
the
was
skills-based.
speed. And I did like a little podcast on it about just everything was about speed, nothing about skill. And it was just, people were just paying whatever they wanted and doing whatever they wanted. And if you were an agent and had zero skills, if you knew people and had contacts, you were making money. And you were, I guess, considered good at the craft until the market basically imploded, and then it was all bets were off, and you needed it kind of immediately shifted to skill based, and if you didn't know anything, you were found out pretty quickly.
So when you went from that speed-based market to the skill-based market, what are some of the things that you personally adapted?
Well, I think that, when it went to the skill-based market, you really had to know the contracts. You really had to know what the actual listing agreement said, what the purchase contract said. So, the law thing helped me there, and I was able to kind of distance myself from the 50,000 agents that had become agents during that crazy run-up.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped a little bit, and it kind of sped up the learning curve for where I was versus other established agents in the field that were also top of the game. So I utilized that as a way to get in, so to speak, and kind of distance myself and separate myself from the masses, really. But also, just from a standpoint of, even if I didn't have the background, I just doubled down my efforts. I mean, it was just such a difficult market. I remember in 2010, people making zero.
Yeah.
It was insane. Like, it just stopped. And it could stop again. I mean, unless you double down your efforts. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but this market just went like this, and now it's going. I mean, I'm getting texts from my clients with like storylines, like they're calling this the next biggest crash since World War II. Like crazy stuff. So yeah, you're gonna have to work. But if you're used to working, I'm used to working. So it's not really a big shocker. If you're not used to working and you're used to easy money, then it might be a rude awakening.
So there's a pivot that has to take place.
Big pivot.
Yeah.
Big pivot.
Okay, so tell me about your team over the last several years.
Well, when I got here, I mean, some of you guys know me, but when I got here, I was a single agent. So the purpose of joining KW was to learn how to build the team, which is not easy.
That was 2018, right?
2018, yeah. And it's not easy because it's not just, let's just have a team and the number. We'll just lead by the number of agents on the team, no matter how productive or not productive they are. It's just, you want people on the team that are productive by your definition of productive.
Yeah.
And my definition of productive is how productive I am. So I want people as productive as myself, or that are showing me how to do things that are different that I can adapt to. And so when I joined, the biggest part of Keller Williams was, how does this company teach me to build a team worth having, basically? And that has been the longest learning curve in my time here, is learning how to build the right team. And I'm finally getting to
What are some of those things that you've learned that have allowed you to succeed at this now?
I think the biggest thing that I learned or at least the most important thing that I learned, is that I always tried to hire agents or surround myself with agents that where I said, this is what you need to do, and that's the only way you're going to succeed, rather than in the career visioning way of looking at it. You try and find people that they like doing certain things and they can thrive in those things, and then you go ahead and let them do those things. And I was trying to kind of fit the round square, whatever.
Square peg in a round hole?
Yeah. And it wasn't working, as opposed to me finding people that genuinely like certain things and can excel at those things, i.e. like a Vicky that loves to door knock. Most people don't like that. So you force that on somebody and they kind of turn off, as opposed to like the Dick Dillinghams and the other guys that preach, find something that you love, which way that you want to network, and focus solely on that, and you'll be successful, even if it's just one type of networking.
Yeah.
So I think I've found agents, or very slowly found agents that like to do certain things and are really good at it, and will hone in on that.
Yeah.
Regardless of the market conditions.
So last year, what were the numbers that your team did?
Last year, I think the team did like 47 million or something.
Okay.
48 million or something like that.
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And how many units? Do you have any idea how many units that was?
4.
Yeah, just 4.
4 units.
12
Average 12 price. Average $12 million price.
No, I think it was
point.
like I don't. Mindy's the numbers person.
Yeah.
I think it was like
We can call her.
probably it was probably like 50 transactions or
Okay.
something like that.
Nice.
I have my number better.
Yeah.
I like your number better too.
Yeah. All right. So you saying your average price point has gone up. That kind of went up for you out of necessity at one point
Yeah.
in time, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
So, I've been an agent since 2003. So I didn't get here till 2018. So that's 15 years and at 15 years of being a single agent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I always wanted to have a team, but it just didn't really work out. And I just became just by default, just because I was terrible at delegating, I just was a single agent through and through, like most agents are. You guys mostly single, are most of them single?
Yeah, most
Most of
our
you guys are
agents in here
single agents, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you do everything, you do all your open houses, you're just like a one-man band, which is what I was for 15 years. And then, so the thing is that I'm trying to get better at it, but if you're never utilizing leverage, the only way I saw to make more money was to get bigger listings, because my time wasn't going to change. I was going to spend the exact amount of same time. So, instead of 20 listings at 500,000, I elevated the price and my sphere, and 20 listings at $1 million, and then 20 listings at $1.5 million, and then 20 lists. My listings over the past decade or so has not gone up that significantly. My price point's gone up significantly, and that was out of necessity, because I was by myself and didn't want to deal with 80 different clients. I'd rather deal with 15 or 20. Before I got to Keller Williams, my average price point was, I think, like 1.8 million or something. So you can just do the math, and if you want to do a certain amount of volume, if you want to do 40 million, you got to do 22, 23 deals or something like that. 2 deals a month. It's very easy to segment it out and to start figuring out exactly how much money you can or want to make, based if you know your numbers. I don't know my wife knows my numbers. I don't know my numbers like that, but I know my average price point. But if you say, well, how many deals you did, and how much did it cost you to have that transaction, or I don't know, but we know that. My MAPS coach knows that. I just can't rattle it off.
Yeah. All right. So what's the biggest lesson you've learned in your time in real estate? Most impactful lesson?
My biggest lesson probably is that you have to be learning based every day. You can't, the best thing about this company is that it preaches basically what I really believe in, which is that you can't know everything and there's always something to learn. And then you got to stay very humble in this business. It's just, there's always somebody that's doing more. There's always somebody that's doing better. But like you have like these productivity coaches and you have all these guys that are pouring into everybody. I just think that this is maybe, during COVID, when everybody was making money hand over fist without doing much and thinking, well, what do we need Keller for? What do we need even any firm for? We could just do it ourselves. You're going to need this more than you know right now, because this is going to get extreme. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but this is going to get anybody that did this during 2010 and 2011. It's going to get scary, but it's going to get good, because literally half the workforce is going to leave. Literally, overnight they're going to leave. They're going to, and it's going to be a lot of reasons why. They're going to figure out that it's a lot more difficult than they thought, and it's going to be over very small things. They don't want to pay dues. They don't want to pay board dues. They don't want to deal with anything. They don't want to pay for signs. It's going to be so many things that wean people out of this business. Little things like what Supreme was just talking about, credit fees. Mm-hmm. Little things are going to force people out. And agent pool that Richard was telling me about, 80,000 agents in the Tri-County, it's going to become like 30,000. So if you can work and actually figure out how to monetize.
I heard somebody say that's awesome. So right. I love the mindset. Yes.
If you can figure out how to navigate this time, mm-hmm. It's actually gonna be so much better for you.
So speaking of that, Jason, with you and your team, what are some of the ways that you personally and you're encouraging your teammates to adjust the way they're doing things based upon where the market is going?
So, we have a team meeting every week. Actually, it's every Thursday, so it's tomorrow. And, basically the key focus is obviously lead gen, mm-hmm. but more than just lead gen, just how you're using your time the minute you wake up, which is kind of what I'll harp about at 1:15.
Yeah.
Just not only just knowing what you're supposed to be doing, but actually doing. Everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. I ask everybody in this room, what are you supposed to be doing? They're all going to say lead gen or whatever they're going to say. Whether or not any of them do it, that's a whole different question.
Yeah.
So we focus on it to the point of breaking it down to, when you get up, what are these things that are doing that are helping your business versus you just wasting time and detracting from your business. We actually have, schedules and calendars and time blocks and things like that. Not so much because it's so regimented, but because we're trying to make sure that the person doesn't go so off track. Because, I have 2 kids that are 20 and 21. If you leave them alone in the morning, they'll be on social media for 7 hours.
Yeah.
The whole day can go away.
Yeah.
Easily. Without even getting off the couch. And it can happen to anybody.
Yes, it can.
It's very simple with Facebook or TikTok or whatever the hell it is. The whole point of the time block and the scheduling is to make sure that there's kind of like a jolt to not let them get there.
Yeah.
Even a little jolt can kind of detract or deflect so that you don't get into that mode of just, saying yes to everything but what you're supposed to be saying yes to.
Yeah. All right. So last question I've got for you. What's one piece of advice you would give to everyone as they leave today?
I love this on the spot stuff. I would say, look,
It's more authentic.
yeah, I would just say, look, it's January 4th. You have the whole year. It's like perfect timing to just get after it. There's no reason not to. You obviously think it's important enough to show up to this meeting. So why, I speak to so many agents that, like I just said, know what to do but never do it. Just start doing something, anything. One thing per day. You don't have to change your whole life overnight and say, well, I'm never going to go on social media again, or I'm never going to do any of this stuff. But if you can incorporate one thing into your day, even if it's for 30 minutes, my thing with my kids, with my team, with everything is that if you incorporate something into your daily routine, even if it's 15, 20 minutes, walking on the treadmill, running, anything, right? First couple days, you're like, this is doing nothing. But then maybe after a week or a month, if you consistently do it, you start seeing results. And so what happens when you see a little result is that it encourages you to do more of that. So I would say do something, even however small during the day, and give it time. Give it a few weeks, a month, and see if you're reaping some kind of benefit from it, because it'll encourage you to do more of it. Because I guarantee you, if you guys did some lead gen and somehow lucked out and on your first call, the person said, yes, come list my house, you would do a ton of lead gen. You just don't do it because you don't get a lot of great responses. So you're kind of turned off from it. But if you did start doing it a little bit more and you started getting better at it, more confident, and it was actually yielding results, I think that you guys would incorporate it more and then start doing less of what you guys would start seeing as a complete waste of time.
Love that.